Hi, welcome back or welcome to Neighborly, the first LP on this channel, which is a rotational LP that I started about 9 months ago in a blank save file and now has grown into a full-blown world. So I wanted to give a short update on the 7 starter families in the Willow Creek neighborhoods that began this save file. As well as at the end of the update, there will be a short cutscene, which is then leading into the next episode of Almost Grown. And thank you so much to all the new subscribers. If you have your own gaming channel, please let me know so I can follow you, because I also like to watch gaming channels. And I also have 2 other LPs on this channel that I've been continuing, which are my fantasy LP, which is a little bit slower to update because there are so many mods and CC to keep up with in that save file, as well as my Wonder Years LP, which is more of like an alpha realistic LP, and I pretty much do it every Sunday or every other Sunday. I'll post that LP. If you're interested. And I also have a Tumblr page where I put behind the scenes photos and updates. All right, so we're going to start where it all began, which is in Don's household, Don Smith. So he started in a household living with his grandparents. He is a bit of a slacker. He had just graduated from high school and was attempting to figure himself out. He's had several careers, which have included a cyber network person, a photographer, a guitarist, a painter. Now currently he's attempting to be a skateboarder. So Don has still not figured himself out, but he has managed to gain a whole entire family by mistake, really. So he started out, he moved into the roommate's household, which is literally across the street from his grandparents, around the time that they passed away. And he married Lynn Shannon, who is part of the roommate's household and is best friends with Omari and runs a restaurant. That didn't work out, and they end up getting divorced because in the midst of him figuring things out with Lynn, he also had dealings with another woman named Bianca, who ended up getting pregnant, and they figured out that her twins are actually Don's twins. So now she and Don live together in a condo at the end of the street, and Bianca is still married to her husband, but it appears her husband may have moved on because Lynn took a bit of a vacation to Tamarang, but is now back, and she brought back with her a boyfriend who happens to also be Bianca's husband. So Christmas is about to be real messy next year. All right, next we're headed to Noelle Stapleton-Howard's household. She started out in a single household by herself. She is a scientist, and she married the love of her life, Jay Howard, in a big splashy wedding. We had a whole wedding special. It was a complete disaster, but you know, it's The Sims. So Noelle started out a bit of a Grinch. Everything had to be neat, logical, and perfect. She went through a bunch of men, including Omari Paulson, who is one of the roommates, until she found the perfect man for her, who is Jay Howard, a local physician and a romantic idealist, and the exact opposite of Noelle. But they fit perfectly together, and they now have a daughter named Elena, and everything would be perfect if it weren't for Noelle's magical family, who literally is a magical family. And she has a sister, Jada, and a mother and an aunt who are all witches. They live in a coven in Newcrest, across the street from Jada's lover, who is a werewolf. Recently, Jada has noted that there have been changes to her magic, and they figured out it was because she's pregnant by the werewolf. So now Jada has a daughter. The daughter's name is Adrian, And usually as sisters, they would help each other raise their daughters. But since Noelle has left the coven, Raphael, her lover, is moving in with Jada to help raise their daughter Adrian. Now, since giving birth, Jada's magic has gone back to being wonky. So this past Christmas, she burned down Noelle's porch. Their relationship is much better, but the coven is still looking for Noelle to rejoin, and they definitely are going to attempt to get Elena to join. However, Noelle is determined that her daughter is going to be a scientist, so she's been spending more time at home doing her experiments in their rec room. And Jay, of course, is extremely excited that Noelle has decided to spend more time at home with their daughter. She has definitely come a long way because she really didn't even want to be pregnant. She also has noticed that someone is building across the street. So there used to be a country club across the street, but the country club moved, and now there's going to be another resident moving in across the street from the Stapleton-Howards. All right, so next are the Warrens. They live next door to the Stapleton-Howards. They started out in the house at the end of Foundry Cove, which now is torn down and has become condos. And now they've moved to, I've renamed the street Christmas Street. Calvin and Callie started out in the household by themselves. They are actually created by simkhira. He was a widowed father. He eventually met his current wife, Sierra, and they now have 3 more daughters. Callie is now in high school. She was the first child in the Savefile and the only child in the Savefile for a long time. Now she is a teenager, probably like a junior or senior in high school. She has a boyfriend. She's on the cheerleading squad, and she's quite popular. Both Sierra and Calvin work for the police department. All right, next is our young family who lived on the right side of the cul-de-sac of Foundry Cove. They still live on the same lot, but their house was redone. They are the Jacobs, Haley, Ryan, and Riley Jacobs. This family is also by simkhira. Ryan is a politician and Haley was a interior designer, but pretty much she's been a stay-at-home mom since having her kids. Haley and Ryan's relationship started out rocky. At one point, Haley was about to have an affair with Dawn, but since then they've basically had a happy home. Haley and Ryan have since had 3 more kids. And Haley has gotten her tubes tied since then, and they are done, so they are having no more kids. Riley is now a child, and she started out an infant, and she's a child now. And she goes to school. She has her own social life. She has a best friend who also has a storyline. So I didn't really play with Callie, who was the original child, as a child. And Riley was the original infant. She was the first and only infant in the Savefile for a long time. So now that she's a child, I play with her as a child. I play with her more extensively as a child. So she actually goes to elementary school. She goes to ballet class. And they have a dog and a cat as well. All right, so next up are the Carmichaels. They live in Dawn's grandparents' old house, and they aren't original to the Savefile. They actually started out as NPCs, and then they got together on their own and have a son. Aaron is a gynecologist, and he has pretty much single-handedly delivered every baby in the Savefile. He is Jay's best friend. And Valencia is basically his trophy wife. She is also an actress, but her career is pretty much a dead-end career and bought and paid for by her husband. But Valencia is pretty much stuck up and delusional, and she is good friends with Amber Addison. She is attempting to become good friends with Laurel Addison, who is a famous actress. She's basically the Judith Ward of the Savefile. She throws the biggest event in the Savefile every year called the Starlight Charity Event, and she is Chris Roman's mother. Chris Roman started out an NPC, and then he became Aubrey Olivier's love interest. He is an ex-game athlete, and he is right now attempting to break into the snowboarding world out in Mount Kamarabi. Next are the roommates. So they started out in the house on the corner, and they actually started out as NPCs during the first episode, but by the second episode they had moved into the house on the corner. And I chose, out of all the NPCs that moved in, Omari and Lynn. Lynn was supposed to be an adopted child who dropped out of medical school and decided to pursue a career in cooking. And Omari was her childhood best friend who always felt out of place in his very large conservative family. Then I believe Dawn moved in once he started dating Lynn, and then Shauna moved in because she was living with Sierra, but they were fighting over Calvin. Obviously Sierra won that fight and Shauna got her heart broken, so she moved out of the house where she was living with Sierra into the roommate's house, and she quit her job as a detective and became a yogi. There have been a series of other roommates that have lived with them, mainly as love interests, but currently right now, Shauna is living on the lot with her sister. Lynn is living on the lot as a divorcee by herself, and Omari is living on the lot with his husband Tyson and their baby. Shauna has started a relationship with an NPC. They're still in the early stages, and Lynn has traveled to Tamarang, where her parents originally adopted her to meet her biological family. So where we left off, she had been emailing a cousin whose mother is the sister of her biological mother. And so he was kind of the connection. And then she traveled there and finally got to meet her grandparents, her mother, her aunt, her cousin, and then her cousin's family. And while she was out in Tamarang, she discovered that Matt Durham also has family in Tamarang. Matt Durham, who is Bianca's ex-husband, Bianca, who is Dawn, baby mama, Dawn, who is Lynn's ex-husband. So anyway, as messy as that is, they actually spent some time together while they were in Tamarang, and they really like each other a lot. So much that he has moved in with Lynn now. Last but not least is the most recent resident of Willow Creek, Natalie Oliviea, who lives on the lot that used to be Noelle Stapleton's lot. So she is a recent divorcee and the mother to Aubrey Oliviea, who is the main character of Almost Grown. And right now she is working as a daycare owner, and also she owns the duplex where she's living, plus the condos at the end of the cul-de-sac where Dawn lives. She's currently dating her neighbor, Jensen Briggs, who works as a cyber specialist now, and at one point he worked for the Secret Service, and he also freelances as a super spy. So he has a lot of encounters with the leaders of this world, including the First Lady and the Prince of Tamarang. This is Giovanni Oliviea. He is Natalie Oliviea's ex-husband and Aubrey Oliviea's father. He is currently engaged to Amber Adderson, and he is the co-owner of Lancaster and Oliviea. He cheated on Natalie with Amber and got her pregnant, and then subsequently divorced Natalie. So his relationship with Aubrey has been affected by that, and it's also been affected by the fact that he's just an overall philanderer, and he attempted to flirt with Aubrey's best friend Simone, which then Simone went back and told Aubrey, so now she can't stand him at all. Aubrey also does not get along with Amber at all, who is Chris Roman's cousin. Laurel calls Amber Chris's favorite cousin, but really they're not that close. But Aubrey doesn't know that. She just knows they have some sort of relationship. And this is Tino. This is Natalie's nephew and Aubrey's cousin. He is a single father, and his daughter is Yasmin, who is Riley Jacobs' best friend. And Yasmin also takes ballet class from Miss Jada, like Riley. And unfortunately, Tino's customers are usually hanging around trying to find him, even at Yasmin's ballet class. This is Iris Black. She is Tino's downstairs neighbor and also his love interest. She is a substitute teacher. She substitutes a lot for Tyson, Omari's husband. And she also is a singer. So she's part of the band called Iris Black and the Collective. And right now they're preparing for a gig at a local club in Oasis Springs. This is Aubrey's best friend, Simone Floyd, and Simone's fiance, Justin Lancaster. They are preparing to get married. They are college sweethearts who now have a baby. And their daughter, Justine, is the first Lancaster grandchild. The Lancasters are like the land grabs in the Savefile. And so the first Lancaster grandchild cannot just live in a normal house. So they had to custom build on Christmas Street. So they are now going to be living across the street from the Stapleton-Howards.
know the love was warm. Then I saw you coming at me. Somebody that I used to know. Somehow you're my enemy.